when we were thinking about micro-productivity many years ago, we didn't necessarily think of it in the context of, well, we will be in a situation where we are interleaving various parts of our lives. I wanted to kind of like present microtasks as a way of kind of like thinking about, well, since we're interleaving so much, can we leverage microtasks even more than ever before? If you take a bigger task and you keep on decomposing the task, then you end up with a set of kind of like very basic level tasks, and these are the microtasks. And that's the challenge that we took on, is that we wanted to see that can we take a complex task and turn it into microtasks, and what is the quality of the overall task performance if we do things that way. And the original goal that we started off with is that we want to write a research paper entirely using microtasks. We evaluated this in the context of collaborative writing, where a bunch of people got together in a room and they all kind of like did some group brainstorming, jotted down ideas, and they were able to produce some content in a very little time, and then they spent the rest of the time kind of like finalizing that content in a more focused way. The next projects that I'm going to talk about are more about, okay, so you have the content that was created on, say, a Google Doc or Word or whatever, but now you want to start editing that content. So we created this tool called Playwright, which essentially it analyzes your Word document, it creates microtasks and uploads them to the cloud, and then you can see these microtasks on your mobile phone. And this is kind of like presented in a game-like way. So the idea was that, well, I play Angry Birds, and that takes up my time. So maybe if we kind of like disguise the tasks as a game, people might be more inclined to just run through a few tasks in their free moments without feeling that they are getting engaged in work. And wanted to give people the opportunity to now create their own microtasks. So it's not an engine that is running in the background and picking out the microtasks. We are telling people that, okay, so here's your system. You can create your own microtask. We also wanted to see, well, microtasks, given that they're intentionally, they're not designed to be super engaging. So what happens if we start kind of like flipping the distraction part? And so we start presenting microtasks in people's social media feed. What we found is that people, for the first 2.5 minutes, I mean, let's putting aside some people who would be on social media for a long time, but for most people, for 2.5 minutes, they could completely ignore all these microtasks. And then once they had that kind of like gotten through their initial parsing of the social media environment, then they would slowly start getting engaged with some of the microtasks. The next topic looked at how we could incorporate the crowd. And so this is where you could just take parts of a document. And so this is more from the copy editing point of view. And you could take parts of a document and ask people to quickly rate whether the document is, or the snippet of the text is has spelling or grammatical errors, and whether or not they felt a certain text read well, and people could give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. So we wanted to see how content that we capture while mobile, and how having it easily integrated into your Word document actually helps with the overall content usage. So imagine you have your mobile phone, you're in a meeting, you want to quickly take a photo of the whiteboard so that you can kind of like take your notes later, or you want to capture a voice note, or you want to take a quick note. We can do all of these things now. The problem is that these are all residing in separate silos. But you could imagine that you start off with a very easy microtask, and then you start giving people more difficult microtasks around the same content. So say you have a paragraph in a document. You first give them a very easy spell correction microtask, and then maybe you give them a microtask where they have to reorganize a sentence, and they are now already building some context about the text because they're doing multiple microtasks on the same text. Can we do something at the beginning of the day, when typically what we found in our log analysis is that people are doing a lot of kind of like planning for the day as they came into work. And at the end of the day, people typically don't kind of like, they don't ramp down, they just leave work and they go home with lingering thoughts of work in their head at all. But this was where we extracted tasks from programming that could be done via when you're on the go. And so this was mostly what we found, is that people could do either some kind of like exploration of related material, or it could be some kind of like unit testing that they could quickly do. And once those results getting integrated back into their programming environment, they actually made them feel that they had made progress while they were still on the go. Yeah, the final one, it's kind of like, okay, so with this fun project, thinking about, can we do microtasks while we are driving?